Can I have your attention, please? Yes, hi, Wanda Sykes here. You ever think about all the nicknames we have for breasts? Boobs, tatas, the girls, chesticles, bubbies. Heck, you might even have your own nickname for them. And yet, even though they get so much attention, they're still so ignored when it matters most. What's up with that? Well, on February 9th, tune in to see why I'm talking so much about breasts and visit yourattentionplease.com to learn more.
Have I Got News for You is back for another season. Roy Wood Jr., Amber Ruffin, and Michael Ian Black are finding the funny in the week's biggest stories. Have I Got News for You returns Saturday at 9 on CNN and stream next day on Max.
Hi, it's Dave here, and this is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
And this is the Cinemile. It's the podcast where we walk home from the movies. Today we're walking to a movie called Companion. Kathy doesn't know anything about this except that her arch nemesis Jack Quaid is in it.
He's not my arch nemesis.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. We watched The Boys and you absolutely tore him apart.
Yeah.
You tore him a new one for no reason.
Relating to
a charming actor.
Relating to his performance and character in The Boys, I will reserve judgment on this film because I did like him in Scream that time I saw him.
You're a Huey basher.
No, yeah,
and
Huey I don't like.
I won't tolerate it.
Yeah, anyway, but Dave told me that it's a movie everyone's talking about.
It's got a bit of buzz. There's a bit of marketing going around for this.
Okay.
I keep hearing podcast ads.
Right, I haven't heard any. Maybe one's playing on ours right now.
So if you go on, sir.
I'm taking you at your word that it's supposed to be good. I owe you one big time for bringing you to Baby Girl, and therefore I am putty in your hands.
I'm going to be dining out on that for years to come. Kathy,
Dave's like, do you want to go and see Companion? I'm like, I'll see anything you want. Absolutely anything.
Will you be my companion tonight? Do you know what this movie's about or anything about it? Not a thing.
I've not heard a single ad about it.
Oh, okay. Well, it kind of gives it away in the ad. I will say so I won't tell you then anything about it because that's always a fun way to experience a movie.
Yeah. The best way usually.
If you also don't want,
you mean you, the listener?
If you, the listener, who I'm obviously talking to, don't want to know anything about it, like Kathy, we're going to play the trailer in a second, which does reveal the sort of broad plot of this movie.
As trailers will generally do, in fairness.
Trailers do. Yeah. So if you don't want to know anything, I don't know, go watch it or come back here or skip the trailer. Anyway, we're going to go into it now. We will talk to you shortly.
Bye.
There have been two moments in my life when I was happiest. The first was the day I met Josh.
I'm Josh.
I'm Iris. And the second, the day I killed him.
Just relax. Remember to smile and act happy. Do they know? Iris, wake up.
What are you doing? Shut her down already.
What is she talking about, Josh?
This was not part of the plan.
I didn't mean to.
Did you jailbreak your sex bot?
Okay, hello, we are back. We have seen Companion, and I'm walking home with my companion, my lifelong companion. You've heard the trailer now, so we're going to discuss broadly what this movie is about, but there are many very fun and interesting twists and turns in this, and there will be no spoilers for this movie until, of course, we turn onto Spoiler Street. But Kathy, tell everyone what were your thoughts of the movie Companion?
I'm thinking, have I seen one of my best movies of the year already?
Oh, wow.
That's what I'm thinking about it. I had such a blast. It's such a clever film. I have to say, not knowing the premise at all was like an amazing viewing experience. But even if I had known it, I still think it's an amazing viewing experience, and you can let us know in a minute about that. But I think the lead actress is phenomenal. I do think Jack Quaid was very good. I think the entire cast was great. Particularly kudos to, what's that actor, Lucas Gage? He's fab in it.
He's very good in it.
Very good in it. I last saw him in You season 4, I think, in which he was also very good.
My favourite Lucas Cage moment was when that clip that went viral during the pandemic of him doing a Zoom audition.
Oh yeah.
And the director said, not realising that his microphone was on, something along the lines of, what is it with all these actors living in these cheap one-bed studio apartments?
Don't you know that actors are poor until they're rich? And they're all waiters. So if it's a pandemic and nothing's open, What income do you think they have?
Such a rude thing
I
to
forgot
say.
that was
It's
him.
so awful. Anyway,
Back to this movie. So I think this movie is very clever. Dave said it was marketed as a horror. I don't think it's a horror at all. I would say it's a I don't know, maybe a psychological thriller. I don't know. I certainly wouldn't call it a horror, and I don't think if somebody dislikes horror, they should avoid this film.
I think it plays. It's
into
got
a few-
horror trappings, but it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
sure,
horror.
it's not a full-on horror. Yeah, that's
It's really, really intelligent, both in the way it constructs the story and in the ideas within it. So I think like the plot and the pacing was incredibly interesting to me, and like the way they paced the film, it kept getting richer the more you
yes,
learned.
yes.
Which is why I think even if you know the original premise, it's okay because there's a ton of new stuff to learn afterwards.
Yeah.
And there was a real message in here around like society and how we relate to technology and how overly reliant we are on technology, and also it's kind of a sort of dystopian, and then there's a real message around like domestic violence and treatment of men towards women. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. Can't wait to get to spoilers. Dave, what did you think?
I thought this movie was great. I didn't really get to talk at length in the before about my expectations going in without spoiling what the premise was. But when I heard the podcast ads and I saw the premise, like AI girlfriend companion, I kind of rolled my eyes.
I would have as well, and
That
I'm so
doesn't
glad.
seem interesting.
Because Dave said to me, "Oh, you're better off not knowing," and I was, because I actually guessed it before they revealed it, but it took about 20 minutes for it to be revealed. So I spent the first 20 minutes just being like, what is going on with this couple?
Fun.
And that was so fun. And then before it was revealed, I guessed because there was enough hints. But
You did, to your credit.
it was very, very fun. I love figuring out a mystery. You know, it just makes you feel clever, even though they've dropped out 20 hints by the time you figure it out.
I just felt like what we were going to get, what this movie was going to be, was another sort of Megan type tale of, or even there was one recently that Netflix pulled out, which was Subservience, which was literally about a companion sex bot or whatever.
I never saw that.
So I
Though
just
we
feel
were
like
big fans of Humans back in the day on
Humans,
Channel
yeah.
4.
It's just like I feel
That
like
was great.
we've seen this idea done a lot. So going in, my expectations were actually quite low. I was expecting budget B movie kind of
And
horror.
partially the
and
horror marketing makes
half
you think
entertaining.
Megan.
Yeah, agreed. So I think you're right. If I was to, I'm actually not going to say what I think the actual genre of this movie is until spoilers, because this movie, as it revealed itself, I was super impressed by it. It's not the movie I thought it was going to be. It continues to unravel in really interesting ways, and it is consistently funny. It is
Very funny.
It's funny when it doesn't need to be funny. It is, and it blends its tone very well. It never tips into absurd. It can
But it's a
dip
bit
right
farcical
back into.
sometimes. I
It's
do
a little
think.
bit farcical, but also it is attempting something a little meaty in terms of its protagonist's sort of character development.
I think
do
it's quite
think,
meaty, actually, what it gets to.
yeah, I agree, and I thought all the actors were excellent. It's one of those kind of cabin in the wood type settings, which I always love, and the way the plot develops is consistently entertaining. I laughed out loud several times. I was surprised several
I was
times.
gasping and actually sometimes screaming.
I thought the writing was really sharp. I was really impressed with this guy, Drew something, who wrote and directed this. So yeah, I mean, like a big fan. I would highly recommend going to Contagion, and
Loved
maybe go to the cinema and throw out some money, because our cinema
Very
was
quiet.
dead.
Very quiet. I think the like it's a great companion piece to a substance or something, you know? And maybe
Yeah.
like Her, one of those kind of movies. Yeah, I had such a blast with it. I think we should go to spoilers now, because I really don't want to spoil it for anyone.
I agree.
We've already talked about the kind of premise, and
Drew Hancock is the
we'll
guy's
get
name.
into the spoilers now, because there's actually a lot to spoil here. So if you haven't watched it yet, go off and watch it and then come back for spoilers.
Yeah. And we're going to take a quick break here. You might hear an ad.
To realize the future America needs, we understand what's needed from us. To face each threat head on. We've earned our place in the fight for our nation's future. We are Marines. We were made for this.
Okay, so there were a lot of full spoilers now. Full spoilers now
Spoilers.
for the movie
Can
Companion.
we say it any more times?
So
There's
there
a
were,
lot of spoilers here, lads.
and there was a lot of little twists and turns which I really enjoyed. We'll get into them
So
now.
good.
But
The
my
moment-
favourite one,
And I would say
Go
the
on.
first one though for me, when they're from the very beginning, I'm like, there's something off here because their meet was way too meet cute. I was like, okay, there's something rom-comish here. Is she imagining how they met? Because it just felt weird. And then from the very first interactions we see with them in the car, felt a bit unsettling.
Yeah.
And then I was like, why is he on his phone when he's supposed to be driving? And then I got totally off on one in my head of like, oh, so it's just acceptable now for people even in movies to be on their phones
To be fair,
if they're driving?
the car was driving them. Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't know that.
Sure, yeah.
So I got off on one in my head about texting and driving, thinking this film's just dropped it in casually, but of course this film didn't drop anything in casually. So there's a lot of tech happening. There's just something weird about their relationship, like when they're going into the house, he's like, just smile and don't be sad. And then
smile and be happy. Yeah, it's the kind of
very controlling,
toxic male thing that somebody would say to a woman.
My first impression was like, oh, this is like a very abusive relationship. And then when I kind of figured out what was actually going on was when his friend, the woman whose boyfriend's house they were in, said, oh, my boyfriend tells me how to dress. I've no choice about when I sleep with him. And then she looked at our protagonist and said, well, who am I telling? And that's when I was like, oh, she's a robot. I finally put all the
sex bot.
Yeah,
sex bot alert.
Very, very satisfying. No, I wasn't thinking sex bot. I was thinking robot.
Oh, okay.
That was just all very satisfying. And as the film unravels, you just hate the boyfriend character more and more and more. He becomes quite grotesque. And I think
Jack
he's fairly
Quaid plays
typecast.
a great. He plays a great, hateable male.
I've seen him do this
villain,
before,
doesn't he?
I won't say in which movie, but I've seen him do it before.
Yeah.
Twist, from a goodie to a baddie, and he's very good at that twist. So I think he was well cast. But yeah, and then twist after twist arise. Like the next one was when we find out they caused her to murder the Russian guy.
That's good. I didn't see that coming. And that's
coming.
the genre that I think this movie is. It's a crime caper.
Exactly.
This is
I
a
think
crime
you're right.
caper with a sci-fi
I think it's a
shell.
dystopian crime caper.
Yeah,
thriller.
I think that
has a great ring to it as well. Dystopian crime caper.
crime caper thriller. Yeah.
I mean, I'd go to that.
But it's also got a
with a strong female protagonist.
It's got a sort of Coen Brothers kind of vibe to the setup. You know, this complicated plan unraveling due to the circumstances and stupidity of people, right?
I mean, their plan was actually
It was a pretty good plan, actually.
But the thing is, there's like the film introduces, you know, very cleverly, we kind of learn about all her protocols and how he's overridden them.
Yes,
and I love
the way this
film
movie delivers exposition subtly was
very good.
Beautiful.
It's just well paced.
Nuanced.
But what I love about the whole one of the big underlying messages of the film to me is we're all too reliant on our phones because Jack Quaid has the hubris to think that he can modify his robot girlfriend, change all her settings to make her really aggressive.
40%
and then,
intelligence.
The 40% intelligence was actually really dark.
That's funny.
But it was really dark.
Yes, yeah.
But the fact that he thinks he can then undo it all with his phone. And it's like, mate, you can't use your phone all the time. He also then learns that he can't drive his car without the phone. So basically, I think there's a whole message in here about like how we think our phones can do everything for us, and we're incredibly powerless then when we lose them.
Yeah, I agree.
And I enjoy that like he's so dumb that he thought just by modifying her, making her super violent and all the rest of it, that then he could just like modify her back.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you can't do that.
Well, his plan hadn't been to modify her back. His plan had been to reboot her and then blame.
Well, no, but he also said he had to run the demodifying because she was going to be reviewed back by the robot company.
But the biggest flaw in their plan, which is a huge oversight, is that they didn't think that the company would be recording everything. Like
no, he did, but I think he thought it all lived in the brain, which makes no sense.
Oh,
he was
planning on probably destroying.
Well, that's why he destroyed her head, right? Well, I think so. But like, so the really good twist when we realised they set the whole thing up with the boyfriend. But I think the best twist was then that
Patrick being a bot. That was very good.
That was so good.
Yeah, I did not see it coming.
But also, interestingly, that he had a much nicer relationship with his owner.
Yes.
That owner still
beautifully played by Harvey Guillen.
Brilliant.
Great comedian.
He had a nicer relationship, but also like he still obviously treats him like an object. What's so funny is when they all sat around the dinner table scene at the beginning, like the two robots are telling these stories about how they felt madly in love with their partners. And it was so weird. And I was like, but it was before I knew the premise. I was like, this is such a strange. Like, imagine just sitting there with your friend's partner and all they do is just tell you how perfect your friend is and how much you love them. I'd be like, this is a serial killer. This is not normal dinner table conversation. And then I just love, my favourite bit of the whole film, to skip ahead a bit, is when Jack Quaid reboots
So funny.
Patrick,
so
and then
good.
together, see a little boot tang, and we see the little, like, that was so funny.
See the meet cute again.
And they're doing the same dance. It's such a weird meet cute.
But it was so creepy. I think Jack Quaid's character in this is such a sinister person.
Yeah, he's such a sadist.
And actually, it was interesting, just to rewind slightly, what you said about, like, there was an interesting moment where, what was the guy's name? Anyway, Harvey Guillen's character, Patrick's boyfriend. I think he really did love him. I think there was, in that moment, it felt very real, and I like that they brought it back later for Patrick's sort of...
He was respectful of him.
Yeah.
And he treated him with kindness, and, like, I don't think Jack Quaid...
And he wanted to split it four ways. You could tell he wanted to split the money four ways. He considered Patrick an equal.
Well, also though, if we split it 4 ways, he just got 50%.
Well, yeah, I know.
That was the best twist though, when he goes, Patrick doesn't count, and I was like, what an asshole.
I know, and then I was
like,
so did I, and I was like,
stupid.
And I was like, what an interesting ordeal. They now have to split this money. And why would they be pushing for 3 ways? What a dick move.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, brilliant.
Though I did think, because often that kind of argument can happen with couples, you know, like, should a couple pay double or not? So I thought it was going to go down that route, but that's not where it went. Yeah. So their relationship was really interesting, and I love when the bad guy, Jack Quaid, goes, he's a really old model. Like, you should have traded him in. Like, Jack Quaid's such an asshole. Yeah. And, like, the more the film goes on, you realise Jack Quaid is one of those men who thinks, like, I'm a really good guy, I'm a really good person,
and I'm owed everything. Yeah.
Like, the toxic masculinity on display of entitlement that we see all over the world is very much in this film.
I deserve it, and I'm put upon.
All I have is a shitty one-bed apartment. It's like, well, maybe if you didn't spend all your money on a sex robot, then you would have a bigger apartment, man. Just this absolute, and like the idea that he would have reduced his girlfriend's intelligence to 40% is so dark and disturbing. I love the idea that she can't lie, and then when she ups her intelligence and is confronted by a policeman.
Oh, when she switches to German, so clever.
So clever.
But that had me laughing.
Yeah, I was
so
laughing.
Funny as well.
Yeah, it's so good, and it's actually a really intelligent thing to do, and she couldn't have done that at 40%.
Exactly.
So that was all brilliant.
And she uses it to great effect later when she convinces Patrick she's telling the truth. She's telling him the truth about Jack Quaid's character reprogramming him because she cannot lie.
Now, it still didn't make sense to me though that he suddenly had dual memories.
Well,
because
I guess
surely the point of those things is that, like, once you've rebooted them.
But they say you drag something to the recycle bin, but is it ever really gone? Things can be retrieved, right?
I guess, and also because they're the same meet cute. It's a bit confusing.
Well, she convinced him with logic as well, because she wasn't able to lie. Anyway, I got to say, the way this movie introduced, as you said, the nuances around how this app works, the little thing. Even we got like the voice changer was brought into effect later on.
So
there's all these little Chekhov's gun moments of like the meet cute, the voice changer,
Chekhov's corkscrew.
Oh, that one I saw coming because they kept zooming in on this corkscrew, and I was like, that's the final blow.
You know
Someone's
going to
die by that. And it was as satisfying as I thought.
I didn't think about that. I genuinely, do you know what I thought every time they showed it? What? I thought I'd love one of those corkscrews because I'm always corking wine and I'm always using screw tops. I buy screw tops because I can't do a cork basically. So yeah, that was my.
It did look very handy. Yeah. My favourite twist though in the whole thing was that the character of Sergei played very probably stereotypically by Rupert Friend, but I did enjoy him. He was funny. I loved that earlier in the film Patrick's asking him, what do you do, how did you get all your money, and he said it was dirty work. And we're all thinking the same thing, and then she later reveals that he was a sod farmer.
So funny.
I was like I don't know, that's such a good joke.
And also, is there this much money in sod farming?
Well,
I don't know.
Whatever, it's absurd.
But I certainly want to live in his house.
Yeah.
That was really good. Honestly, like, we'll keep remembering things we didn't mention because there was that much good stuff in this film.
It's full of good stuff. I was just super impressed. And also...
Oh my God, what about when... So basically Patrick gets turned into a P1000.
Yeah.
Similarly to what happens in the movie Uglies. And he's like having his full
You're
Terminator.
referencing your own joke from our Uglies review
Because
as if
it
it's
was so
canon.
good and nobody listened to it. And yes, since I saw that movie, I have read the entire trilogy. And do you know what? I think it's really good. But when he turns into the P-1000 and then he goes, Jack Quaid goes about his friend, oh, stop her, and he just stabs her.
It was horrifying.
You see him, like, we know he had only turned our girl's aggression up like to somewhat high, and then he starts turning Patrick's up also.
100.
But like, wouldn't you think that like this company, not that we know AI companies are generally not ethical anyway, but like, why would you even have an option, like, even with a mod?
No, it was only on the mod.
But like, why would you even have an option to turn up aggression? Aggression should not be programmable.
No, but the mod itself introduced an aggression program. It wasn't ever in the thing.
We're kind of led to believe that Jack Quaid is a bit of a doofus loser. Like, if he's able to make a mod that turns up the aggression,
No, he didn't make it. He didn't make it. He bought it.
Oh,
He said that.
I missed
but
that.
So you buy it off the dark web or something.
Okay, I missed
guess,
that.
right.
I just feel
Anyway.
like there needs to be more of like a checks and balances in place, you know, with AI.
This is the world we actually live in, and the movie's commenting on that, because the two technicians that come at the end get into the car and they're having a conversation, and one of them goes, "Oh, yeah, well, he definitely modded it. Like, this has happened before."
Gross
Clearly.
and creepy. I found the stuff with those guys in the van like really dark. Like, he said, oh, a load of these guys just like tie them up in their basement
I know,
and like
right?
abuse them.
Yeah.
But like, really don't buy though at the very end, albeit I enjoyed it, that young apprentice technician is able to make her completely sentient and in control of herself for the rest of her existence. Now that is something that no mod should be able to get around.
It was a little bit of hand waving just so we could have her become fully autonomous. I agree.
And I loved it.
It was a little bit
like,
convenient.
Like, she's suddenly just like, oh, I can control myself. Bye.
Yeah, I know.
And then
I agree.
I loved. We forgot to say at the beginning when they said like, the best 2 days of my life were the day I met him and the day I killed him.
It's a good line.
It was such a good line.
And the other thing I think this movie does really well is handles it handled the comedy really naturally and deftly, but there was a palpable sense of threat often, like when she's trapped in the car and he's trying to break in. I felt that I was really with her. And when she's at the dinner table and she is completely helpless.
It was really scary.
It is scary. It's that sense of being completely.
He's an abusive partner. Like how he treats her at the end. Basically, as soon as she's not unwaveringly in love with him and has some independence and is questioning his authority, he's just basically beating the shit out of her.
Yeah, and
he's vicious and nasty, and he's saying, you know, like he's saying awful things to her, and like it's really scary, and like there are many people in the world, male and female, who experience that from their partners. And I thought the way the film brought it in like felt very authentic, and also it also worked with the plot. So I think that was all very deft.
Completely.
I absolutely loved the credit sequence.
Yes, it was good. Yeah.
I love her little like robot hand at the end. She's like proud of it.
Yeah.
And she's waving at what's obviously another bot in the next car, and you just see that that bot is with some tiresome man who's just shiting on about himself.
Yeah.
And that bot's like, yeah.
Anyway, we haven't really said it enough. We'll wrap it up now. But Sophie Thatcher, I was super impressed by her.
Incredibly
Because I've
impressed.
only ever seen her in one other thing, and I think it was in the show Boba Fett. And I thought she was pretty bad at that.
Have I seen her in something? I don't recall her, but now I love her.
She's fantastic in this role.
So good, like when her
Such
intelligence
depth.
changes, like her face changes. When she's confused, when she's sad, like she has so many different emotions on her face.
Also, I think it is a rare choice for an AI robot character to be incredibly emotional and expressive.
Yeah.
She was incredibly human
The whole time, yeah.
Whereas
Well, I guess
you
it's
often get the sort of the cold, calculated or
Like
that
in humans.
uncanny valley
Yeah.
thing. But she was completely human, which helps you as an audience to
It does.
empathize with
But
her
also
more.
because, I mean, I'm sure like the marketing will have revealed that she's AI, but I'm sure when the creator was making it, he was thinking this is a twist.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's clearly designed to be a twist.
But I think that's the right move for the marketing to you got to give something to get people in.
Yeah, because the
And that
director's
is
not
really,
famous enough and the cast
Exactly.
isn't famous enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had such a good time with it. I'm so glad we watched it. Thank you very much. It is 1,000 million times better than Baby Girl. as an exploration of, the dynamics in relationships. So thanks everyone for listening. Let us know what you thought about Companion. Head over to thecinemile@gmail.com or Instagram or Blue Sky or Letterboxd. Come over and say hi and chat to us there.
Or maybe you want to come over to our Patreon page where we do a monthly retro movie club where all of our patrons vote on something they want us to watch. Recently the theme was movie musicals and everyone voted for Little Shop of Horrors, a first time watch for both me and Kathy. So if you want to hear our episode on that, that's available right now. And if you join up, you also get instant access to 60 other movie episodes.
A lot of movie episodes there.
As well as
retro movies,
as well as weekly Severance reviews, which is the best show on TV right now, if you ask us. We do regular in-depth spoiler things. We'll probably do one on the show Paradise, which
Absolutely.
we're loving.
Paradise is an example of a show where you can completely not give away the premise because you've got really famous director and cast.
Yeah, although that's one that maybe did need to give away the premise.
I love
anyway,
the premise.
That's all over on patreon.com/thecinemile for the price of a cup of coffee a month. We'd love to see you there. By the way, if you are joining up as a new member, do not pay via the iOS app because of new rules between Apple and Patreon. They are
some sort of bitter argument.
Yeah, Apple are charging the consumer you more to sign up to any if you sign up to any channel via the Patreon iOS app, you'll be charged like 30% more.
Yeah.
So what you do is just sign up to it to it on the browser and the desktop if you're an Apple user, and then you can still use the app
once
to
you
receive
have an
all
account,
the features to chat, etc.
Once you have an account, you download the app and use it for nothing. But they're just getting you at the sign-in point, which is really nasty, and we don't want you guys getting caught.
If you're signing up to any creators, don't do it on the Patreon.
The extra money won't go to the creator, it just goes to Apple.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Yeah, she's tied up inside, so she's not going anywhere.
Eli, Iris, shh, baby, you're on the phone.